Good morning. Good morning. It's your birthday. Oh, wait. Where the banner? Where the banner? We know what you meant. We know what you meant. I'm trying to figure out why Isaac got us up in this courtroom, but we gonna watch. Okay. I don't know why Isaac got us up in this courtroom. Here we go. I tried to stay away from the documentary this weekend because I almost did it. But then we had so much stuff going on this weekend that I missed so many people. It just wasn't enough hours in a day. Dallas was completely disappointed in Ohio because they didn't have any snow for him. There are all Big Unc did was eat. All he did was eat. July 14th. I got another meeting. Okay. Except. Okay, done. I'm in there. Okay. There are so many photos. I'm gonna have to go through all these photos and do like some sort of part 1, 2, and 3. He said he don't care what season it is. Tiff Ann and that let me tell y'all something. That mouse and Tiff Ann took off. Let me tell you something. I don't know how that mouse got in Mr. James' truck or under that hood, but Tiff Ann was absolutely 300% convinced that he was getting ready to climb through the vents and jump out. Her nerves were so bad for the rest of the day. She had to garden and go to sleep. She couldn't do it. Everything moving, a shadow, everything was the mouse, okay? She didn't call them Fievel from Fievel Goes West. Y'all better get Templeton. I said, all the Disney movies. Every Disney movie with a mouse in it. That's what she was yelling. Yeah, Big Unc literally ate. There's all this food in here. I need to do a story on these wings that we ate because, when the conflict got started and we ended up back in the tussle with the world, one of the people that was sent off, or many people were deployed, but one of the people that was sent on a mission is a guy from my hometown named Tyler Simmons, and he was lost in combat. It was him and two other soldiers whose aircraft was taken down. Right.
Well, I believe that the probative value is outweighed by the prejudicial.
Well, hang on, back up. When was the?
Okay, they're gonna do a tussle for a second. So, he had a favorite restaurant, a favorite kitchen, and Tyler said, you know, when I get back from this mission, I want these. They're called sticky wings or sticky grippo barbecue wings, something that it's Ohio, it's grippos, okay? And with that, he never made it home from the mission. So they renamed the wings after Tyler. It was on the news. It was a big thing. So I wanted to go and try those wings. Oh my God, y'all. That food was so good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have an answer. I mean, an answer for that. I do want to know my objection to that, because that search term, how to search for how to dispose of a body. And I believe this. It's just that the probative value of that
the text messages. This is
outweighed by the prejudicial value.
Isaac.
I understand. You know, dealing with 402 and 403.
It's in Columbus. It's inside of the LV Lounge. I'm gonna have y'all go follow them. It's called Latham's Kitchen. So when I repost them, I want y'all to go follow them. It's called Latham's Kitchen.
Was somewhat contemporaneous, but I believe that it's still more prejudicial, and there's nothing linking that search term to this particular case.
You actually touched on the question I have for the state. Mr. Long, when in time was the search made?
That's a great question, Your Honor. And essentially, we know that this search was
Tiff in Denver was waking people up with the tambourines.
But at approximately, I think 1:30.
I can't post that one unless I can put something over top of it, though, because Denver was in his journals.
Grace Jennings, our victim, had expired. We know that about 10 minutes after that, I think it's probably closer to 7 or 8, it was at that point that the defendant actually walked to the nearby cell phone store and actually called his mother, told her a little bit of what had transpired, and then she called 911. So it is clearly contemporaneous with everything else that is occurring. It is clearly relevant under 403. And it is actually the final. It is
Ash, these is the best wings I've had in years.
The phone call.
I'm not gonna lie. Lots of sauce, still crispy under the sauce. I had spicy garlic, but everything, the green beans, the macaroni. They had macaroni and it was good. You know, you can't be trusting anybody's macaroni, pasta salad, potato salad. You know, everybody do stuff different. Ate it all.
Relevant to any argument of first-degree murder or any murder.
He's charged as an accessory.
Understood.
So this is accessory liability. So,
but then after the fact, he could have been panicked, or he could have seen something in regards to the body for him to search that. But this didn't happen before; happened after. So I think it would be more relevant to tampering than even accomplice or aiding and abetting theory.
The court denies the motion, finds that it is relevant, and comes in under 401 and under 403.
Thanks for letting me make my record.
Thank you, Judge.
Is there anything else we need to discuss this morning before we start with swearing in our jury and openings?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Anything else for the defense?
Not from defense, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. The jury's assembling. You saw the bailiff leave. He's going to collect them, and he'll send us a note when they're all here. The court has allowed, and we had this conversation before, a camera in the courtroom. This is the pool camera for any of the broadcast media that wants access to the hearings. They have to be provided live access. Also have allowed, and I saw print media, you moved the print media here, and also is allowed to use her using a tablet or a laptop. And yes.
Yes.
Okay, and she's allowed also to take photos and stream those from the courtroom. Are there any other members of the press here? we had a couple of other inquiries, one from, I don't know who the parent company is, but KRQE. And yes, sir. And you should have access to the broadcast if you have it. Okay. If you don't have a copy of it, we're using the same decorum order that was used back a year ago during the Baldwin trial. So if you have a copy of that, you know the rules. Any other issues related to the press being here? My instructions is you're not to film the jury coming and going, sir. Okay. And
If y'all all Big Unc's pictures is food, I will show y'all some of these
we don't
pictures.
have one on the bench in case we have bench.
Everything is food.
Those won't be captured.
I just asked that the press not photograph the victim's family. None of them are witnesses. They'll be in the gallery at times. We just asked that they not be filmed.
Ain't nobody gonna be looking at the gallery.
Judge, I've had an issue before with the media and an Albuquerque trial where I think notes, videotape, I just want the media to be admonished not to take any, film any notes or anything, any writing.
Any
on
of the notes on council table?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if we'll get to any of this today, but if there's any images that we need to discuss as to how they're published and broadcast, we have control of what comes up over all of the monitors. It is possible to place some images on some of the monitors and not all of them. Of course, counsel would have access to them. And then if the witness and the jury.
Be safe, Ash, and happy birthday. And I'm looking for somewhere to go in the next couple weeks, somewhere close to take the boys real quick. One more
Won't be publishing
before
crime scene
summer break is over.
today. It'll be tomorrow, so we can have that conversation. But
Okay.
San Diego.
wanted to ask that they not be published into the gallery, but we can have that conversation later. Court wishes.
Well, we can have that conversation when we get there. I also have another hearing that I have to do that's time sensitive at 1 o'clock this afternoon. So the jury will be coming back a little bit later after our lunch break.
Understood, Judge.
Anything else?
Judge, since we're sort of dealing with logistics of evidence, the state does have its trial laptop there. It's my understanding that the vast majority, if not all, of the state's proposed evidence has already been moved onto that laptop, and that does include the redactions. We do have hard copies that the witnesses will be authenticating, and then for the court record. But just to save the time from having the disk spin up and then moving that file over, we've already moved that over.
Okay, and you've got everything that's on there on a thumb drive of some type, or how will those be actually introduced?
I don't think we'll introduce them as individual exhibits on CDs or DVDs.
Okay. And just want to confirm every time something is discussed that counsel on both sides have seen whatever the exhibits are before we have those conversations or any objections or clarifications.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Murphy has been working, we've been working well together.
Okay. Anything else?
Not from the state, Judge.
Nothing from the state, thank you.
Not for defense or anything.
Go ahead, now's the time to ask.
Sorry, Your Honor. Last time the DA's office asked us not to photograph somebody, and I spoke to my editor about it. He gave me some suggested language that before the court makes a decision on that, I'd like the opportunity to confer with counsel. I understand the New Mexico Supreme Court specifically authorized the media to photograph and record court proceedings as outlined in Supreme Court Rule 23-107. I want to ensure the company's rights under this rule are upheld as well as by rights under the First Amendment.
And maybe
This came up, sorry, when in the Joseph Jones trial, when they asked us not to photograph the victim's wife, she demonstrated something with the DA's office in the well. My photographer's not here yet. He didn't hear that admonition about the victim's family, but generally everything that's going on in the courtroom, we already know that we can't photograph the jury, but I've been told to state this if I'm directed, if there's further prohibitions, especially from others besides the judge, just requesting our behavior be a certain way.
May I respond, Your Honor?
Yeah.
None of the victims or their family are witnesses in this case. They'll be observers. And under the Victims Crime Act and the New Mexico Constitution, they have a right to privacy. and to be treated with dignity and respect. I understand I understand Phaedra's concern in terms of if it was a witness offering testimony during the court proceedings proper, but we're talking about either in the hallway or when they're seated in the gallery.
If I may, Your Honor, I don't necessarily know who is who either, so it's sort of an edict without full information for us.
If you have a concern, Ms. Murphy, if something occurs, bring it to the attention of the court.
Yes, Judge.
Okay,
I
I'm gonna
think
step off
it
the
may
bench. We'll get
be
the jury
available, but I
brought
haven't
into
put
the
it on
courtroom
yet.
and seated, and then we'll come back in and I'll swear them in and we'll get started. We're in recess and off the record.
Keisha, they said right to privacy now. I wonder if this will. It's yes, we have the ability to have it back. I haven't turned it on yet because I want to get the other stuff going first, so we don't have the same problem again. So some recorded things. What is this? And this and okay. We did that. Sorry, guys. We just got in after midnight. Yeah. I have to call Mel. I haven't talked to Mel all weekend. I got to call her and give her an update. She was doing okay, but it's a lot. It was a lot going on. A whole lot. But I have to call her and warn her because last night when we were getting on the airplane, Big Unc was talking to the boys about their trip, and Dallas was talking about all his new grandmas and grandpas and all his cousins and all his aunties. And he was like, do I have even more aunties? And he was like, yeah, we you want to eat good? We can go bother your auntie Mel. Yeah, we'll get all the do's and don'ts together, but I want to kick it off with at least one episode of the Pink Edit and at least one WTF. And then I'll turn it back on. I will. I'm going to call her today. I literally just got off the plane at midnight. Well, got home at midnight. We got off the plane probably about 10:30. Then we make our way through the airport only to find out that there's construction. And in order for us to get our shuttle to our off-site parking, we had to go back in the airport, catch the Sky train to the next terminal, get off, and then walk out again. Oh no, they need the window seat, honey. They walking through there. I'm have to. Can I do it on here? What can I do it on here? I wonder did they should have backed up to this here, I believe. Hold on, guys. What is up with this mouse? Is it in need? This mouse might be in need of a new battery. Let's see. Okay. Probably on this phone. Yeah, your nephews be moving and grooving, honey. I don't pay no attention to the one glove. Denver has its moment. That's the Spider-Man glove. It was Michael Jackson a couple days ago, but Denver almost. But the escalators, they get Denver every time. He just let go and let God. Literally, watch him. Let go. You handle it, Mom. She finally put it out there. That them parents, they confess, didn't they? Y'all know what? Everybody was acting up this weekend. Okay, so remember we said we was going to do WTF, and I said, y'all, right when we got mail back, life kept life, and that's what had life. Baby 7 was going to be a big brother. And Kayla was sick as hell. Oh, I'm so glad she said something, because we've been holding this shit for a month or so. Yes. She thought she was getting ready to have a real cute summer. Shannon said, yep, yep. Yeah. So I'm so glad she announced it, because Jesus Christ. Yes, and she was so. Y'all remember how sick she was with 7? She got sick all over again. Remember we were planning to do a WTF with everything that went on, and we was like, "Oh, hey, this would be a good one." We was like, "We trying." Kayla was sick as a dog. So as soon as we got mail back, Kayla got sick. Yes, yes. I'm so excited. It was all in her face. You could tell. I could tell, but I couldn't tell. But I was like, let me see, where is. But yeah, when I seen that text go across my text message, I said, "Oh shit!" I did the same thing though. Dallas and Denver are only 16 months apart. And Sharonda, when I say, let me see. Look, I mean, they chill on the plane. Dallas goes to sleep on the plane. After he takes off and sees the clouds, he's done. When they got to Auntie's, they had gifts. New Nye McQueen, as they call it. This is them with their Gigi mom. So that's my godmother. That's Brittany's mom. And so they surprised her and we came through her back door thanks to Tiffany. So she's so excited. Let me see. Then of course we hit Cleveland, and look at them clouds, y'all. This was the craziest mess ever. I said, this is why I stay awake, the weather. This is Dallas taking everybody on tour with the drone. I think we were over my great aunt's house. Oh yeah, we was over Wanda's house. There go Aunt Wanda, y'all. Trying to figure out what the hell is flying. Baby Kezzy. Y'all see me. There go Aunt Diane. There go my mama. That's me hitting them hearts. It was that drone was driving the aunties crazy. Okay, y'all. And there go Bro Chacho and his
Let's
nephew.
go on the record and begin. This is First Judicial District Court, Division 7, sitting in for
Put
Santa
them
Fe
all
County.
together.
We convened this morning in criminal cause D101 CR 2023-25, the state of New Mexico versus Isaac Apodaca. Appearances for the record, please, and are the parties ready to proceed?
Good morning, Your Honor. Haley Murphy, Tony Long, and Sergeant Javier V. Hill, all at council table for the state of New Mexico. Parties are ready to proceed.
And good morning, Your Honor. Jay Nair, Marcus Cameron, Isaac Apodaca, and David Meek on behalf of the defense.
You ready to proceed, counsel?
Yes, we are, Your Honor.
Okay, please be seated.
Oh Lord, Isaac, what are we
Good
doing?
morning, ladies and gentlemen. Just give you a little information real quick, and then we'll start with the formal instructions. We'll begin this morning with the court instructions as to the law that governs the case. As we begin, there's some opening instructions for you. Then the attorneys will have an opportunity to make their opening statements to you, and then we'll begin the presentation of evidence in the state's case in chief. Again, the court complies with the Americans with Disabilities Act, so if there's any accommodation you need to be able to fully participate, please just let the bailiff know. If you're having any difficulty hearing us, let us know. This courtroom is set up with a system. We can give you a headset that's tied into the PA system if you're having any difficulty. If there's anything else you need, again, if you need to stand, let the bailiff know. He might move you to the end and let you stand if sitting for long periods of time is difficult for you. If you need to take a break, again, just catch the bailiff or myself's attention and we'll take a break. Normally, we'll go for about an hour and a half, take our morning recess, and then break for our noon recess, and that'll be a longer break. So even though I just asked you to have a seat, I'm going to ask you to rise again, and I'm going to place you all under oath.
Let me know if y'all can hear the noise outside. It's trash day.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you swear or affirm that you will arrive at a verdict according to the evidence and the laws contained in the instructions of the court? Thank you. Were there any no responses to the oath? And I see none. Were there any abstentions to the oath? And I see none. Thank you very much. Please have a seat. Good morning again. My name is Judge Glenn Ellington. My bailiff, Angel, will be with you throughout the trial. If there's anything you need, as I mentioned, please get his attention.
I'm gonna say New Mexico a little
Recording
different.
the proceedings is my court monitor. This is also, her name is also Angel. I don't know if I mentioned that. I have angels on both sides of me this morning. But if there's anything you need, please catch one of us. Ladies and gentlemen, everything that we do during the course of the trial is recorded. And so there may be times when the attorneys and I need to meet at the bench and have conversations. You'll hear white noise in the courtroom as to what's going on, just so that you know what's happening. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a criminal case commenced by the state against the defendant, Mr. Isaac Apodaca. The defendant is charged with 2 criminal offenses. Count number 1 in this criminal information is first-degree murder, willful and deliberate as an accessory. It is alleged that on or about the October the 29th of 2022, that he did kill Grace Jennings with deliberate intent to take away the life of another human being. Count number 2, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder, willful and deliberate. It is alleged that on or about October the 29th of 2022, the above-named defendant did by words, acts, agree with another person to commit the offense of first-degree murder. Mr. Apodaca has pled not guilty to these charges, and he is presumed innocent. The burden is on the state to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that the defendant is guilty. And what I say now to you is an introduction to the trial of this case.
You need to.
Ladies and gentlemen, as the trial begins, I have some instructions for you. These instructions, along with those previously given, are preliminary only and may be changed during or at the end of the trial. All of you must pay attention to the evidence. Once you have heard all of the evidence, I will read the final instructions of law to you. You will also receive a written copy of all instructions. You must follow the final instructions in deciding the case. The first topic is the schedule of the trial. As you know, we are scheduled for trial today, tomorrow, Friday, and then Monday, Tuesday, and potentially into Wednesday of next week. We'll work regular business hours. I'll probably have you be here by 8:30 every morning, and we try and finish by 5 o'clock at the end of the day. There may be days when we either go a little bit past 5 or stop a little bit early. Normally, if we're at the end of a witness's testimony and it's late in the day, we may not start another witness to then have to bring them back the following morning to continue with that witness. At times, we'll take breaks and I'll release you back to the jury room. Please do not come back into the courtroom unless you're brought back in by the bailiff. At times, while you're in the back, I'm speaking with the attorneys here and we're addressing issues to kind of organize the case that are not really part of the evidence that's being presented to you. The next topic on the instructions is note-taking. You are allowed but not required to take notes during the trial. Note paper will be provided for this purpose, and I saw a number of you already have those with you. If you need either a pen or paper, please let the bailiff know. Notes should not take place of your independent memory of the evidence. When taking notes, please remember the importance of paying close attention to the trial. Listening and watching the witnesses during their testimony will help you assess their appearance, behavior, memory, and whatever bears on their credibility. At each recess, please take your notes with you. At the end of the day, the bailiff will store all of your notes and return them to you when the trial resumes. So you need to mark your notes some way so that the bailiff knows whose notes are returned to each individual juror. When deliberations commence, you will take your notes with you to the jury room. At the end of the case, all notes will be collected and destroyed. The next topic is the order of trial. A criminal trial generally begins with the lawyers telling you what they expect the evidence to show. These statements and the statements made by the lawyers during the course of the trial can be of considerable assistance to you in understanding the evidence as it is presented at trial. Statements of the lawyers, however, are not in and of themselves evidence. The evidence will be the testimony of witnesses, exhibits, and any facts agreed to by the parties. We call those facts stipulations. After you have heard all of the evidence, I will give you the final instructions of law. The lawyers will then argue the case, and you will then retire to the jury room to arrive at a verdict. It is my duty to decide the evidence that you may consider. Your job is to find and determine the facts in this case, which you must do so solely upon the evidence received here in court. It is the duty of the lawyer to object to questions, testimony, or exhibits the lawyer believes may not be proper, and you must not hold such objections against the objecting party. I will sustain objections if I will sustain an objection if the question or evidence sought is improper for you to consider. If I sustain an objection to evidence, you must not consider such evidence, nor may you consider any evidence which I tell you must be disregarded. By itself, a question is not evidence. You must not speculate about what would be the answer to a question that I have ruled cannot be answered. It is for you to decide whether the witnesses know what they are talking about and whether they are being truthful. You may give the testimony of any witness whatever weight you believe it merits. You may take into account, among other things, the witness's ability and opportunities to observe, memory, manner, or any bias or prejudice the witness may have, and the reasonableness of the testimony considered in the light of all the evidence of the case. No ruling, gesture, or comment I make during the course of the trial should influence your decision in this case. At times, I may ask questions of the witnesses. If I do, such questions do not in any way indicate my opinion about the facts or indicate the weight that I feel you should give the testimony of the witness. The next topic is questions by jurors. Ordinarily, the attorneys will develop all pertinent evidence. It is the exception rather than the rule that an individual juror will have an unanswered question after all the evidence is presented. However, if you feel an important question has not been asked or answered, write it down on a piece of your notebook paper Give it to the bailiff before the witness leaves the stand. And let me stop here for a second and kind of highlight this. You will hear me ask the parties at the end of each witness's testimony if the witness is being released. If the parties agree to release the witness, once they walk through those double doors, they won't be recalled to testify. So if you have a question for a specific witness, make sure you get that question. to the bailiff.
If the jury has some good questions now.
With respect to the questions you submit, I will decide whether or when your questions will be asked. The rules of evidence or other considerations apply to the questions you submit and may prevent the question from being asked. If the question is not asked, please do not give it any further consideration. Do not discuss it with the other jurors, and please do not hold it against either side that your question did not get an answer. The next topic is a series of instructions with respect to your conduct as jurors. There are a number of important rules governing your conduct as jurors during this trial. You must decide this case solely upon the evidence received here in court. You must not consider anything you have read or heard about the case outside the courtroom. This is why we spent a considerable amount of time during jury selection last week to make sure that you didn't have information or that you could make a decision based on the testimony you received during the trial. During the trial and your deliberations, you must avoid all news accounts of the trial, whether they be on radio, television, the internet, in the newspaper, or other written publications. You must not visit the scene of the incident on your own. You cannot make experiments with reference to the case. You as the jurors must decide this case solely based on the evidence presented here within the four walls of this courtroom. This means that during the trial, you must not conduct any independent research about the case, the matters in this case, and the individuals or entities involved in the case. In other words, you should not consult dictionaries or reference materials, search the internet, websites, blogs, or use any other electronic tools to obtain information about this case or to help you decide the case. Do not try to find out information from any source outside the confines of this courtroom. Similarly, until you retire to deliberate, you may not discuss the case with anyone, even with your fellow jurors. After you retire to deliberate, you may begin discussing the case with your fellow jurors, but you cannot discuss the case with anyone else until you have returned a verdict and the case is at an end. I know many of you, probably all of us at this point in time, use cell phones, the internet, and other tools of technology. You must not talk to anyone about the case or use these tools to communicate electronically with anyone about the case. This includes your family and friends. You may not communicate with anyone about the case on your cell phone or any other device that can access the internet through email, text messaging, or on Twitter, we now call that X, through any blog or website, through any internet chat room, or by way of any other social media networking websites. And these are simply a few examples of literally hundreds, if not thousands, that are available. Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, YouTube, Snapchat, TikTok, just a few examples. You may not communicate with anyone using any of these social networking websites. During your deliberations, you must not communicate with or provide any information to anyone by any means about this case. You may not use any electronic device or media, such again as telephone, cell phone, computer, or any other device that can access the internet. The internet service, any internet service, or any text or instant messaging service, or any internet chat room, or by way of any other social media networking website. Again, examples: Facebook, MySpace, LinkedIn, YouTube, X, Snapchat, TikTok. You must not communicate any information about this case or conduct any research about this case until I have accepted your verdict. Until you retire to deliberate the case, you must not discuss this case or evidence with anyone, even with each other, because you have not heard all of the evidence, you have not been instructed on the law, and you have not heard all of the final arguments of the attorneys. If an exhibit is admitted into evidence, you should examine it for yourself and not talk about it with any other jurors until you retire to deliberate. It is important that you keep an open mind and not decide any part of the case until the entire case has been completed and submitted to you. Your special responsibility as jurors demands that throughout this trial, you exercise your judgment impartially and without regard to any sympathy, bias, or prejudice. To minimize the risk of accidentally overhearing something that is not evidence in this case, please continue to wear your juror badges in and around the courthouse. If someone happens to discuss the case in your presence, please report that fact to a member of my staff at once. Although it is natural to visit with people you meet, please do not talk with any of the attorneys, parties, witnesses, or spectators, either in or out of the courtroom. If you meet in the hallways or in the elevators, there is nothing wrong with saying good morning or good afternoon, but your conversation should end there. If the attorneys, parties, or witnesses do not greet you outside the courtroom or avoid riding in the elevators with you, they are not being rude. They are simply clarifying, observing this rule. And again, counsel, you're directed to advise your witnesses and others involved in the case not to approach the jury. Does either party wish to invoke the rule?
Yes, Your Honor, the state requests that the rule of exclusion be invoked.
Defense also agrees.
Okay, thank you, counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, we attorneys talk in code. The rule is a rule of procedure. What it calls for during a trial is that each of the witnesses come in one at a time and don't listen to the testimony of the other jurors that are testifying before them. There's a few exceptions to the rule. Expert witnesses often are allowed to listen to the testimony of other expert witnesses. Is the state designating a case agent for this hearing?
Yes, Your Honor, Sergeant Javier Vigil.
Is there any objection?
No objection.
Okay, so again, Mr. Vigil will be allowed to be present to assist counsel at the counsel table, and he may also be called as a witness in the case. Is the defense designating anyone else other than counsel?
I have my investigator, David Meek.
Okay, is he a witness?
No, no, Your Honor.
Okay, but he'll be assisting you at counsel table?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, that's fine. You may remain.
Good morning. Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, of course, the defendant is always allowed. He is the individual that's on trial in this case, and he's always present in the courtroom. At this time, the prosecuting attorney will now make an opening statement. Defense counsel will then have an opportunity to make his opening statement or may reserve until later in the trial to make its opening statement. What is said in opening is not evidence. The opening statement is simply the lawyer's opportunity to tell you what the lawyer expects the evidence to show. Who will open for the state?
I will, Your Honor.
Ms. Murphy, you may proceed and come up and get set up.
Podium does not turn, is that correct?
It does not turn, so you can turn the microphone and kind of work on an angle.
Here we go.
Good morning. With the dagger, bring it up, turn
With a
flat,
sword.
south to north, and with the hilt east to west. Then turn it blade east to west, hilt north to south, and voila, she dead. I'm just waiting for you to make the first move. I'm just saying, swing and don't regret the aim. I'm not playing games. I'm wanting to see you do this. I am wanting you to kill her. You have to end your suffering by ending her joy. These are just some of the texts and messages that Isaac Apodaca sent his girlfriend, Kiara McCauley, over a multi-hour period from October 28th of 2022 through the next day about a plot to murder Grace Jennings. Grace didn't know that the person that she trusted, Isaac Apodaca,
Right out the gate. There we go. There we go. This man is up here in Dungeons and Dragons, House of Dragons, a little bit of Harry Potter, and got a dag blast sword, and got these. I told y'all the text message. Isaac, why are we here? Why are we here? And just to let y'all know, this is not no regular poker. She had a sword, okay? They wielded this north to south, and this was east to west at the wheel. This was a sword. I almost took the lady head off. Okay, I'm stopped. Okay. Whew. Isaac.
Apodaca to house her, her cats, and her belongings for a night was helping plan her murder. By 1:30 in the afternoon on October 29th, just 14 hours after she had arrived at the garage residence occupied by Kiara and Isaac, Grace was dead. She was brutally stabbed and sliced using a sword. She had piercing injuries throughout her body, both ones that caused her death and ones that occurred after her death. 19-year-old Kiara McCauley is the one that swung that sword and stabbed Grace. But Isaac Apodaca helped, and he encouraged Kiara every single step of the way until Kiara took Grace's life. This trial is not about whether it was Kiara or whether it was Isaac that killed Grace Jennings. It is about all of the effort that Isaac Apodaca undertook to make it happen. This case is about Isaac's relationship with Kiara and the toxic dynamics that he used to punish, push, cajole Kiara to do his bidding. This case is about manipulation that was long-standing and coercive control. The evidence in this case will show that Isaac is the architect of Grace's murder. So by way of background, Kiara, Isaac, and Grace all knew each other. Kiara and Grace had grown up around one another, and according to Kiara, they dated as young teens. It was a volatile dynamic by the end, and Grace and Kiara weren't really supposed to be around each other. Grace was not allowed at Kiara's house, and they were not friendly with one another. Isaac asserts that he and Grace later dated after they met on Snapchat, a social media platform, and according to Isaac, they subsequently broke up, but they remained friendly. One day at the Santa Fe Place Mall, Kiara ran into Grace and Isaac, and that's how she met. Kiara met Isaac. And subsequently, she and Isaac started dating, and they remained more or less together despite fights that went both ways and dramatic breakups and reunifications. As Kiara's time in her multi-year relationship with Isaac went on, you will learn that Kiara grew to believe the increasingly bizarre stories that Isaac would tell her, including that he, Isaac, had seen video footage of Kiara being gang raped and Grace accepting money for it. This allegedly occurred when Grace and Kiara were both teens. Now, Kiara has always been odd, and the evidence may reflect that she's pretty gullible. And this increased as time went on with Isaac and their power dynamic shifting and evolving into one where she would continuously make choices contrary to her health and to her safety. Choices that were not rational, choices that are against her self-interest, choices that an average person would choose not to make. For example, you will hear evidence that 6 months prior to the murder in April of 2022, Isaac beat up Kiara, breaking her thumb after hulking out. And Kiara cooperated with the police in a case, but later backed off and chose not to do so. When Isaac suggested that Kiara prostitute herself, she did so, with Isaac keeping the money. She even went back to sex work at his behest after Kiara was raped by a John that had hired her. This evidence will be offered for a very limited purpose. It will be offered to show Isaac's knowledge that he could manipulate Kiara, his intent to manipulate her on the day of the murder, and for the coercive dynamic between the two of them. You will see that when Kiara was told that Isaac was part of a secret vigilante organization called Ghost that was created for the purpose.
I'm about to say she's about to get into it. They was into some alter groups, alternate ways of thinking. I would even venture to say alternate realities. I believe they said one of the things, but this girl, whether you believe it or not, was jacked up in the brain. Kiara would believe certain things, and it almost begs to differ. Who raised you? You get what I'm saying? Like, because Kiara was able to take whatever Isaac said as law, as the only reality, despite what was happening to her. So just like they explained that he had her in a situation where he was pimping her, they could say whatever they want. He was pimping her. He was sending her out there, taking the money, and was even able to coax her to go back after she had been SA'd. But see, in high school, she had been had been SA'd by multiple people. It was like a gang SA, right? Instead of her healing from that trauma or dealing in any way with that trauma, he convinced her that Grace got money after that happened to her. See how left field he is? Like, not that she knew about it, not that she laughed about it, not that somebody told her about it, but that happened to you and Grace got paid. They definitely had to be using some, to me, I don't see how that happens unless you're not completely sober on top of the other things. So some strange shit. Okay. So it's going to get, when you start to hear that this is a person who was never protected and met the one person they probably should have never met in their life. Now, she still at some point was grown, and you got to know that somebody talking to you like it's a Harry Potter book. Baby, get the fuck off my phone. I don't know what alternate reality you in or why you on my phone playing like this, but why am I the only one going to work? Okay? Why you get the money and I'm the only one going to work? Like, she just never had the ability to ask any of these questions. And so you know something was wrong, and he knew what he could get her to do, basically.
Of killing sex traffickers, she believed Isaac, that he had started this secret vigilante organization. She believed him when he told her that if she, Kiara, killed Grace, who was on a kill list chosen specifically for Kiara, that she would move up the ranks and have perks in the black market. That's a statement from one of the messages between Isaac and Kiara. That statement was made during the night of the plot of Grace's murder. There will be no evidence in this case that Ghost is a real group or that Isaac was in fact a secret vigilante killer with access to a barn for killing people, but she believed him when he told her so. Kiara begins to believe Isaac when he convinces her that she has multiple personalities or dissociative identity disorder, helping her to name the different personalities and playing into their existence. So at this point, you may be sitting there thinking, wow, those are some bold claims. Where on earth is all of that evidence going to come from? Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be from a variety of sources. It'll be in the form of civilian testimony, who will take the stand and take the same oath as every other category of witness, forensic expert witnesses, such as fingerprints and DNA analysts, and a pathologist who performed Grace's autopsy. It'll be in the form of law enforcement testimony. It'll be in the form of data points from cell phones and Facebook search warrants. It'll be in the form of testimony from Kiara and a forensic psychiatrist named Dr. Michael Wellner. So now that you have some background, maybe it's a good time for me to go ahead and kind of put all this upcoming evidence into a roadmap and a timeline for you. I'll try to generally refer to the witnesses more or less in the order that they'll appear in the trial, starting later this morning. So as to the timeline that the evidence will establish, October 28th of 2022, Grace Jennings needed a place to stay, and she reached out via Instagram, another social media platform, to Isaac Apodaca, who agreed to let her come over. Now, despite knowing that Kiara hated Grace and that Kiara did not want Grace there, he allowed it. Grace arrived at 5941 Jaguar Drive, the house owned by Kiara's mom, Lanny McCauley, around 11:30 p.m. Lanny remained in her house, which is the main part of the property, the main house is what we'll call it during the trial. She didn't have any idea that Grace was on the property. And the plan between Isaac and Kiara initially that night was for him to then bring Grace to a nearby park where Kiara was dressed up in scary clothes and carrying her sword. We know these things, again, because of the messages between Kiara and Isaac. But he did not, in fact, bring Grace to the park. They instead went to the single-room detached garage in the back part of the property, where Kiara and Isaac mostly stayed. Eventually, Kiara left the park and she entered the garage. Everyone was present. Everything was relatively calm. And after a while, Isaac left. He went to the main house. Kiara and Grace talked. He returned. And for the rest of the night and the morning, Isaac and Kiara messaged each other with very few breaks, each using their own cell phones. And some of it's innocuous emojis and stickers and cartoons, but much of it centers on killing Grace. At times, Kiara actively participates. She asks Isaac to be the one to kill Grace. They message about how they will clean up afterward using hydrogen peroxide or what they'll throw away or put in the laundry. They discuss using the dagger versus the sword. But Isaac, when asked to do it, will deflect, but he repeatedly encourages her to commit the murder throughout. You'll see that they often use their pet names for each other. Kiara was Puggle. Isaac was called Otter. Throughout the night, all three of them lay in the same bed to sleep, with Isaac across the foot of the bed. You'll see a picture of that from the messages. In the early to mid-morning, they concoct a plan, Kiara and Isaac, while Grace is sleeping, presumably, that Isaac calls Operation Fake Kickout, where he tells Grace that they both have to leave. This was not a real kickout. Operation Fake Kickout is commencing. He is setting up the opportunity for Kiara to kill Grace. So as that's about to commence, Isaac sends the final psychological blow of a message to Kiara to push Kiara to kill Grace. He again tells Kiara that Grace has previously confessed to it being the delusional gang rape that he's claimed that Grace facilitated years prior. These final messages are sent at 1:27 in the afternoon. At this point, Kiara has summoned enough rage. Isaac knows that he plans to use the sword that is present in the garage, and he goes into the house briefly, stopping to help Lanny McCauley put a rug in the washing machine and to urinate. When he returns, Kiara has the sword. Grace is dead or dying on the bed. He tells Kiara to go shower. She does. So Kiara goes into the main house to shower, saying hello to her mom. She removes the clothes that she'd been wearing during the murder and puts them in the laundry hamper. After showering and changing, she goes back to the garage. She finds Grace's body in a different position than she left it, and Isaac is gone. She didn't know that after Googling how to dispose of a body, that Isaac had instead left. He called his mom, Linda Montoya, and went to AP Wireless, a cell phone store down the street. Linda called 911 at 1:46 p.m., triggering a police response. You will hear portions of that 911 call as the first bit of evidence this morning. Within about 6 minutes of Linda calling 911, at about 1:52 in the afternoon, the initial responding officers arrive. Santa Fe Police Department officers Francisco Alvarado, Alejandro Arroyo, and Manuel Romero are arriving at the house and approaching the property regarding the reports of a stabbing homicide. You'll see as Alvarado approaches the side fence, he sees Kiara go from the garage back to the main house, and he yells, "Contact, contact," meaning that he sees a person. He follows. She shuts the door into the main house. Alvarado notices blood on that back door and begins to kick it in. Lanny and Kiara exit the residence, and they are detained. Now, a brief period of confusion kind of sets in about whether police had even responded to the right place. Could this have been a prank? Because everything is so calm. That's when Alejandro Arroyo confirms the address and finds out that the body is allegedly in the garage. He uses Lanny's keys to open the garage door and sees Grace's body. She is visibly dead. She's on the floor directly in front of the door, slumped against the edge of the mattress. Emergency medical responders arrive and they confirm her death using EKG leads. So while those three officers, Arroyo, Alvarado, and Romero, secure that scene, Santa Fe Police Department officers Cesar Ornales and Derek Arn are responding to AP Wireless. There, they detain Isaac Apodaca. They Mirandize him. They tell him he has the right to remain silent. Anything he says can be used against him. Anyone who's watched a Law and Order episode or two knows their Miranda rights. He gets a statement from Isaac, and then he and his colleague take steps to secure the cell phone that Isaac has in his hand and on his person. Shortly thereafter, Violent Crimes Unit Detective, who's now a sergeant, Javier Vigil, is assigned the case, as there has obviously been a homicide that necessitates an investigating detective. He first goes to the house on Jaguar. He gets briefed, looks around, and then leaves to go to the station to interview Isaac and Kiara, who have been transported there. During all of this, search warrants are initiated and the scene is secured and set up to be processed. And when I say scene, I mostly mean the garage, the place where Grace died. Now, I've mentioned the physical or the digital evidence, the messages in the case, but as I've kind of hinted, the digital evidence won't stand alone. It's corroborated by a lot of the physical evidence that you'll hear about next. The scene is processed, it's the word for searched, by crime scene technician Maria Tenna. She is a trained member of law enforcement who collects and photographs evidence. Excuse me. She will help us answer the question of what happened in that garage. Through Officer Tinna, you will see pictures of the garage both before and after Grace's body is removed for autopsy. You will see that the garage is small, with much of the room taken up by a mattress and a couple small pieces of furniture. And that other than the items that have evidentiary value, the garage is full of trash, urine bottles, multiple cats, and several bags and boxes of Grace's belongings that she had brought with her. Officer Tinna photographs the scene as different items of evidentiary value are kind of removed, and the scene is processed almost kind of layer by layer. Of the items that she collects, which there were many, some of the most important are the large, bloody, double-handed broadsword. Has a 36-inch blade and is the murder weapon in this case. She collects Grace's cell phone, some bloody bedding that demonstrates that the murder seems to have mostly taken place on top of the bed. She collects Kiara McCauley's cell phone, which was located under Grace's body on the floor in the blood. A dagger that was not used in the murder itself, but was one of the items that Isaac and Kiara contemplated using. Isaac at one point urging Kiara to use the dagger because it's blunt and would cut better. Officer Tinna's testimony will, in essence, show us how those messages that were sent between Isaac and Kiara foreshadowed what actually then took place in the crime scene. Now, what is not present in this case is evidence of the use of hard drugs. There's no meth, no crack, no PCP or bath salts, or any paraphernalia associated with the use of hard drugs. The evidence will be that the only substances present on scene was alcohol and marijuana, and that neither of those appears to have been heavily used, if used at all.
Yeah, but there ain't no way.
Also know that there will be no evidence in this case of sexual activity between Isaac, Kiara, and Grace. This is not some sort of polyamorous love triangle. There's no evidence of a threesome that night. When we say people were in the bed, we mean for purposes of texting and sleeping. I want to talk to you now about the three forensic experts that you will hear from regarding Grace's body and the sword. Dr. Emily Helmrich is a forensic pathologist at the Office of the Medical Investigator. She conducted Grace's autopsy and will testify about the many injuries to Grace's body, including the injuries that pierced vital organs, such as her liver and lungs, injuries that left Grace nearly decapitated. She will put in context whether which injuries were fatal, which injuries occurred close to or even after death. And unsurprisingly, the evidence will be that Grace died of sharp force injuries and that the manner of death is a homicide. Two individuals from the New Mexico Department of Public Safety Forensic Laboratory will testify. One is Jeffrey Smith, who conducted the fingerprint, also called latent analysis, determining that the only resolvable latents or finger palm prints resolved from the sword are consistent with being from Kiara. DNA analyst Rosalind Archuleta is the one who conducted the DNA testing on multiple items, including Kiara's clothing, the sword, swabs obtained from the scene, and other pieces of evidence. She will testify in essence that the blood on the sword is Grace's, and that the primary profile that can be resolved from the sword is Kiara's. Again, this is not surprising, as Kiara is the primary person that handled that sword. She cut her hands during the murder, leaving some of her own DNA behind. Sergeant Vigil is our third to last witness. You heard us refer to him as the case agent. He is the one who worked this case from start until today. He's the one who evidence flows to and through in putting the whole picture together. As I stated, he interviewed Isaac Apodaca and Kiara McCauley at the police station while the crime scene was being processed. He interviewed Isaac first. Isaac was again Mirandized. You will see the Miranda waiver form, waiving his rights and agreeing to speak to Sergeant Vigil. He begins the interview, Isaac, by telling a lengthy series of stories about how Kiara was being violent and creepy and using a butterfly knife that was never recovered, and that she basically did all of the murdering by herself on her own free will. After a long series of stories, Sergeant Vigil realizes the phones are involved, and he decides to go through Isaac's phone with him, and he obtains permission from Isaac to do so. And it's during the review of those messages that the case, as it relates to Isaac, breaks wide open. The evidence shows that Isaac wasn't just aware of the plan to murder Grace. He was actively participating in conversations about it for hours and hours. Isaac initially denies sending those messages or then admits to portions but not others, but then he ultimately admits that he sent the messages. And he even acknowledges that he wanted Kiara to kill Grace. The interview will be yours to watch, and you can see for yourself how Isaac tangled himself up in multiple lies. Sergeant Vigil then interviewed Kiara. Now, Kiara is not in trial in this case, and therefore her interview is not going to be admissible evidence, so you won't see that play through, but you will hear her testify, and she will acknowledge that during her interview with Sergeant Vigil, she denied knowing what happened.
Let me approach.
Come on up.
I mean, what did you want her to leave out that was actually going to help him? What is he going to leave out? Like what? Isaac, and you sitting up there. Ooh. In the meantime, in between time, I'm gonna need Georgia to come up out of her and make an official statement so I can quit sitting over here in La La Land by Wendy Adelson. We're gonna need Georgia to come out and make an official statement. She need to come on here. I mean, honestly, what could they have not said that wasn't already said that was terrible? I'm just trying to figure out how this would have helped. So they claim Georgia was at some event talking to some other lawyers, either an event, some setting where she was having a conversation, and somebody overheard that McBanawa was getting ready to walk. Now, from there, they was like, oh, definitely is McBanawa about to get released. They claim that's what Georgia said in the conversation. She hinted at McBanawa was getting released. Then it took on a snowball effect because people were like, well, why or how would Catherine McBanawa be able to get released unless she told on Wendy? Now, that is a good question. That's a good damn question. What I need somebody to do is answer it officially. This is why I stay out of stuff when it ain't happening in the courtroom, because then now I'm about to start another snowball. Because so basically somehow talking with some other attorneys, Georgia, the DA front that's been over all the Adelson cases, made a statement that Catherine McBanawa was getting ready to walk, whether it was getting ready to get thrown out, vacated, whatever, the rest of her sentence or her conviction or whatever. And so people have been speculating, how would McBanawa get to walk? Unless, it's all speculation, but I think Georgia should have to, if she was reckless enough to have that conversation where anybody else's ears could hear but the Lord's, then she had to know that we was going to find out about that conversation. Because everybody been waiting to see if Miss Wendy was going to be with her mother and brother. We need answers. We need to know right damn now.
You may continue, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. So as I stated, Kiara will acknowledge that during her interview with Sergeant Vigil, she denied remembering or knowing exactly what had happened to Grace. So at this point in his very early investigation, Sergeant Vigil had overwhelming amounts of evidence. He had a lot of evidence that Grace was murdered, that Kiara had murdered Grace, and that Isaac had made statements implicating himself via those messages and other actions. But his investigation did not end with those interviews. In the months, days, weeks that followed, he secured search warrants for the devices that were collected, including ones that ended up not being relevant or even were blank. He interviewed Lanny McCauley, Linda Montoya. He reviewed test results, phone extractions, listened to recorded phone calls. He will review many and most of those data points with you during his testimony to show you how he was able to make the links between Isaac's Facebook accounts and Isaac's phone that he used to send the messages to Kiara. Even as late as 2025, Sergeant Vigil continued to work the case, working with experts to locate witnesses that could have some additional information or collateral information. Sergeant Vigil is the individual that will put everything sort of together and show how he's reconstructed things to lay out the process and the planning of the murder through Isaac's own digital communications. Finally, you'll hear from our last two witnesses that the state will call of the 1920, Kiara McCauley and Dr. Michael Wellner. Now, Kiara has pleaded guilty to aggravated second-degree murder and conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. And this may not reflect the full scope of the crime she committed. This is a bargain for exchange that allowed her to plead to a lesser charge in exchange for her testimony and cooperation. In other words, Kiara no longer enjoys the right to remain silent, and she no longer enjoys the right to freedom, nor will she for a long time. Her plea requires truthful cooperation, and she faces additional penalties and potential charges if she fails or refuses to testify truthfully. This means that Kiara will need to sit in court and detail the murder of Grace. She will need to be confronted with prior and consistent statements. She's been interviewed several times by law enforcement, even by Isaac's own attorneys. She will have to lay it all out there. We expect the evidence to show that Kiara has a very difficult time distinguishing between her very complicated feelings about Grace and the delusions that played into the long-standing and very public murder plot. She will acknowledge the messages using the sword and also acknowledge the confusion of finding out that Isaac had not, in fact, stayed behind to help clean up while she showered, like they'd discussed, but he said he'd fled the scene, called his mom, who then called 911. Kiara may come across as strange, unlikable, disturbed, profoundly broken. But she may also come across as someone who would do a lot of things for love. Our final witness will be Dr. Michael Wellner. We expect both him and Kiara to testify on Monday. He is a nationally renowned forensic psychiatrist who has published, researched, taught, and testified in the field of forensic psychiatry for 30 years. He has reviewed the evidence in this case, including background information of the parties. He's even conducted some of his own interviews of civilian witnesses. And his testimony, ladies and gentlemen, will help answer the question of how someone can help, encourage, or even cause their partner to commit a violent murder. Because ultimately, that's what the evidence in this case is expected to show. The state of New Mexico expects that the evidence will show that Isaac Apodaca incited and instigated this murder. The evidence will demonstrate that it wasn't impulsive or a split-second decision, and it was a deliberate plan. And at the end of all of this evidence, we will ask you to return guilty verdicts for first-degree, willfully and deliberately committed murder under an aided and abetted or accomplice theory, as well as conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Thank you.
Thank you, counsel. Does the defense wish to open at this time or reserve?
Defense will open, Your Honor. Thank
You
you.
may proceed.
Oh, Lord, okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, welcome back. Hope you had a restful holiday week. Over the course of the next week, probably into Wednesday, as the judge has stated earlier, you're going to hear some testimony. You're going to see some evidence. What you are not going to see is any evidence the 29-year-old Isaac Sampson Apodaca seated over there is guilty of the crimes charged by the state of New Mexico. Now, you heard Ms. Murphy go in to a long opening statement, and it's just that. Opening statement is just a statement as to what the parties could show, what the evidence could show. And Ms. Murphy laundry listed all of her witnesses and what they could potentially say. But what you will learn, and what Ms. Murphy acknowledged, is that Ms. Kiara McCulley butchered Grace Jennings more than a dozen times. And then now they want to blame Isaac Apodaca, who had nothing to do with the stabbing of Grace Jennings with a 3-foot sword, 36 inches, as Ms. Murphy pointed out, a 36-inch sword more than a dozen times. And the state, and you're going to hear a lot of stuff about coercion and control and different things, that the state is going to wants you to believe that Isaac Apodaca coerced and controlled Kiara McCulley to stab Grace Jennings more than a dozen times, even post-mortem, after death. The level of provocation and rage that you will see that Kiara McCulley exhibited on that day is extraordinary.
She read,
and yet they're going to try to argue that Isaac Apodaca somehow coerced and controlled her.
Somehow.
And Kiara herself, as Ms. Murphy pointed out, is going to testify. And she got a deal. She got an agreement. Leniency in exchange for testifying against Isaac Apodaca, who had nothing to do with the stabbing. These are, serious allegations that the state is going to try and make you believe that the defendant, who himself was clearly gullible and manipulated, somehow coerced and controlled Kiara McCulley, who again bludgeoned Grace Jennings to death. You may ask, why are we here? We are here because of some messages. There were messages that the state is going to introduce. But that in and of itself does not point towards Isaac's responsibility in this case as an accomplice or aiding, abetting, or any theory. Those statements could have been, maybe not the best statements. Clearly, he was being manipulated by somebody who you will see through the evidence had rage and was planning this situation. Nobody expected Kiara McCulley to do what she did on that particular day. Before I discuss the facts in more details, I want you to remind you of the standard. I'm not going to stand up here like a used car salesman and try to sell you on beyond a reasonable doubt, because this is a pretty straightforward case. And you will hear testimony about accomplice liability, aiding and abetting, and the burden is always on the state to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. But it's not required that the state prove beyond all reasonable doubt, and we're not going to argue here.
Shadow of a doubt right now. We're going to listen to evidence, sir.
Somehow landed on Earth and encouraged or intended for Kiara McCulley to commit this crime. All we're asking is that X could have happened instead of Y. The state is trying to argue that Isaac Apodaca was somehow an accomplice, an aiding and abetting. We're saying, no, he wasn't. Wasn't involved in this. You're going to hear a lot of contradictions from Kiara McCulley when she testifies. She even discussed how there was a sword that Isaac handled and somehow cut her. Yet you will see no DNA of Isaac's DNA on any of the swords, that he handled anything. He wasn't even in the room, as you will learn from testimony. Isaac was cooperative. Isaac went to a T-Mobile store. Mother had called 911. He was there at a T-Mobile store, cooperated with authorities. Kiara McCulley, on the other hand, you're going to hear, ran. She split because she knew she had committed a heinous crime. Isaac, on the other hand, was scared, cooperative, but understood that something serious had happened beyond his control in that house, and he was cooperative with police. Not the behavior of a killer. It's not the behavior of a killer to go to a T-Mobile store, cooperate with police, after his mom had notified authorities, told his mom, and then it's not the behavior of a killer to do that. It is the behavior of a killer, Kira McCauley, who we're agreeing, state agrees, bludgeoned this individual, Grace Jennings, more than a dozen times to death again. It is reasonable to believe that Kira McCauley would run because she was the one who was guilty of murder. And she, in fact, did when authorities arrived. The state's going to try to argue that this was somehow premeditated, deliberate murder under a theory of accomplice liability. But the evidence will show you something else. The evidence should show that, again, Isaac Apodaca was not present when Grace Jennings was killed. Evidence will show that Isaac went to the main house, used the restroom. When he returned to the garage, he found Grace Jennings already deceased with severe injuries. Kira McCauley was standing there and told Isaac, "I did it." Isaac's first reaction was not to flee, not to hide, not to destroy evidence. His first reaction was to call his mother and tell her to call 911. Then again, he went to a nearby cell phone store and was cooperative with police. Does that sound like somebody who is guilty of willful, deliberate, and premeditated first-degree murder? Go to a cell phone store, have his mom call 911, and then cooperate
What
with
about the
authorities?
text messages, sir? You gonna talk about them?
Again, that's not the behavior of a killer. Again, and the state will try to argue that there were text messages. And Kiara, as you will hear, will say all kinds of different stories. And we'll have witnesses here who will say that Kiara had been planning this and Isaac had no knowledge, no idea what was going on. And again, this is I don't want to say it's a simple case, it's a very serious case, but you really have to kind of hone in on whether Isaac had any willful, deliberate, or premeditated intent to commit first-degree murder here. And that did not happen. Murder. When asked if she killed Grace Jennings, Kira had stated, "I'm not sure." Then she had told Isaac, "I did it." And then you'll hear numerous contradictions throughout the testimony. And also you'll hear DNA testimony. You'll find out that there's no DNA of Isaac's, although Kiara argues that Isaac was handling the sword and somehow cut her. So pay attention to the evidence very carefully. Actually, some of our theories overlap. Our arguments, I should say, overlap with the state. State's acknowledging that Kiara McCauley was involved in this. State's acknowledging that Kiara McCauley got an agreement in exchange for testifying against Isaac Apodaca, wouldn't you? If you're going to be spending much of the rest of your life in jail.
Objection, Your Honor.
Oh, counsel.
Baby, I just need to understand why we're not gonna go ahead and address those text messages. That's all you gotta address. You don't gotta talk about
Thank you.
nothing.
And again, our job here is to show what the evidence will show. It's opening statement, what we believe the evidence will show. And then in closing, we'll wrap up and discuss what the evidence in fact did show. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the evidence will show that Isaac was not present when Grace Jennings was killed. The evidence will show that Kiara McCauley confessed to him, "I did it." The evidence will show that Isaac immediately called for help. The evidence will show that Kiara McCauley had violent fantasies, claimed mental illness, admitted holding a weapon, and trying to stab Grace Jennings. and could not even confirm to police whether she had killed Grace. At the end of the trial, after you've heard all the evidence and considered it carefully, we will ask that you return a verdict of not guilty. The state will not have proven their burden. They will not have proven their case beyond a reasonable doubt that Isaac Apodaca had committed first-degree murder. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, counsel. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll begin with the state's case in chief. We call the proofs. Is everyone all right in the jury box? Probably go for another half hour, 45 minutes or so, and then we'll take our morning break. Counsel, who's your first witness?
Your Honor, before we call our first witness, we would ask to approach about an issue.
Come on up. Mr. Long, who are you calling as the first witness?
The state calls Chris Flores.
Have him come in.
I'm still trying to figure out why he went to T-Mobile. I ain't gonna lie to you. I
Sir,
won't
if
tell
go
you.
all the way up here to where the bailiff is standing.
Because even the phone that's not on to call 911. Trust me, I know Dallas did it.
Sir, if you face me and raise your right hand, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury?
Yes.
Please have a seat. Have you ever testified in front of a jury before?
Yes.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward. Make sure you understand the questions that are being asked of you. If you don't, say something.
Okay.
And the attorneys will clarify. If you'd begin by stating your name for our record and spelling your last name for us, please.
My name is Christopher Flores. It's Flores.
Mr. Long,
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Mr. Flores.
Good morning.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a dispatcher at the Regional Emergency Communication Center in Santa Fe.
All right.
I've been there for 14 years and the last 4 as a supervisor.
And does your agency, and is it okay if the Regional Emergency Communication Center?
Yes.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, I know.
Is it okay if I refer to that as the RECC?
Of course.
Okay. And does your agency keep a recording of all emergency calls that come in or emergency calls that go out?
Yes.
All right. And is that recording made at the same time that the call comes in or that the call goes out?
Yes.
Does your agency keep a written record of all emergency calls that come in or go out?
Yes.
And is that written record made at the same time or near when the call comes in or goes out?
Yes.
As part of your job there, are you one of the individuals that is responsible for acting as a records custodian?
In a way, but it's not my full capacity job. No.
Okay, but it's part of what you do.
Correct.
Okay. And as custodian, are you able to pull recordings of the calls incoming and outgoing?
Yes.
And you said that you've testified before in court.
Yes, I have.
Did you pull a recording, a 911 call that came in on October 29th, 2022 at about 1:46 p.m. for this case?
I have, yes.
Okay. And do you know if that call was from a person that identified herself as Linda Montoya?
That is correct.
And was that call about a possible incident at 5941 Jaguar Drive in Santa Fe?
That is correct, yes.
All right. Permission to approach the witness?
yes. So counsel, what you have, all right, go ahead.
And sir, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as States Exhibit 1 and States Exhibit 2.
Okay.
And you recognize those.
Yes.
And without saying what they are, let the jury know how you recognize them. Is there
There's
anything on there that looks familiar to you?
my signature and the date.
Okay. And did you put your signature and the date on there after you listened to those calls?
Yes.
All right. And are those recordings a fair and accurate representation of the calls that came into your agency on October 29th, 2022?
Yes.
At this point, I would move to admit States Exhibits 1 and 2.
Question, is it a duplicate of the same call? Are they two separate calls or is it in pieces?
It is, and actually, at this point, let's talk about Exhibit 1. What is Exhibit 1?
Exhibit 1 is the call from Linda Montoya.
All right. And then let's talk about Exhibit 2. What is Exhibit 2?
Exhibit 2 is the call from Isaac.
Does that answer the court's question?
Yes. Is there any objection to states 1 and 2?
No objection, Your Honor.
1 and 2 are admitted without objection.
All right. Permission to publish?
You may,
Permission to approach the witness?
you may.
Go ahead and get these back for me.
It's given he had Kira do what she did just to see if he could get her to do it type shit. Like some sick shit. Then when she did it, now you want to run. Out here living life like you in a video game, like somebody can just buy you back or something. And then want to run to your mama after she actually did it. You sit up there playing these games with people's lives. he obviously ain't all the way rooted in reality. His mama probably part of the cause of that. And then in the worst possible stroke of luck, you meet somebody who is susceptible to your bull and low-key need an escape from reality as well. And in the most scary way possible, the reality you're creating was better than the one she was living. And now look at this shit. And the crazy thing is, they said he admitted that he wanted the girl to go up out of here by way of Kiara. But why? What does girl do to y'all? What did she do to y'all? And it wasn't like she was doing better than y'all and y'all was just jealous or something. She even reached out for a place to stay. So obviously she has stuff going on too. Somebody reach out to you for help and you already put you in that. Like, what kind of conversations were you having?
941 Jaguar Drive.
Okay. And Isaac, are you still there?
No, I left the property. It's very traumatic for me because
Okay.
I had witnessed. I was in the back seat of a friend's car back in 2000 and I think it was 2012. No, 2013, and I watched somebody walk up to the car and they got killed, and then his wife.
Okay. Are you okay? Do you need somebody to be checked out by the ambulance or anything like that, or?
I'm really shaken up right now, so
Yeah, I just want to know if you want an ambulance to go check on you.
I don't know if I want somebody to check in on me. I'm trying to debate my option right now.
This is your 911 call. And somebody is about head about.
5941 Jaguar Drive.
Okay, so she's still there.
Yes.
Can you tell me what her name is?
Kiara McCulley.
And do you know why this happened?
I do not know why this happened.
Okay. And do you know who the other person that was there was?
Yes.
Who was the other person there?
The other person was a friend of mine. Her name was Grace Jennings.
Okay.
Saying you don't know why this happened, knowing
Has
you
she
sent
had
me
the sword
text
for a long
messages.
time?
She's only had the sword for what, about a week?
Okay. So where are you right now?
AP Wireless.
Okay.
I'm sitting inside AP Wireless. I'm staying far away because it is very traumatic for me. As I said, I've witnessed.
So do you live at Jaguar too, or no?
I'm technically not supposed to be living at 5941 Jaguar, but it's only because I have no other place to stay.
Okay.
So I'm trying to. I honestly don't know what to do right now.
Okay, I just want you to keep talking to me, okay? Just so that way we can see if we can get you the best help and everybody else involved the best help that's possible, okay?
Okay. All right.
I'm still on the phone with you, okay?
I don't know how much longer.
Okay, are you not calling on your own phone?
What did you say?
Are you calling on your own phone?
Yes, my phone's like at 8%, but it'll last.
Like, okay,
Why
so
was
you're at Adams Hall Wireless, or you're like at the AT&T store?
It's AT Wireless with Boost Mobile. There's it's right across from Caesar Cabot.
Okay. I'm gonna send some people to check on you, okay? Just to make sure that you're okay.
Okay.
Will you stay right there?
Yes,
Okay. Can you tell me what you're wearing?
I'm wearing a black and gold shirt with denim pants.
Okay. Can you do me a favor and step outside the store so that way an officer can
Yeah.
speak with you?
Yes.
Okay. Let me know when you're outside.
Yes, I called.
And with the court's permission, now I will publish State's Exhibit 1.
Yes, that was stage 2, and the next one is 1.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
This is Amanda.
yes. There's something happened at with my son. He had walked in and his girlfriend killed another girl. They live at 5941.
5941 what?
Jaguar Drive.
So you're saying that your son's girlfriend walked in and killed another girl?
No, my son walked in on his girlfriend killing another girl. That's what he's telling me right now on the other. And it's in the garage. He told me that he bought her sword recently, and she used it on the girl. She's freaking out. She's traumatized. No, you see everything alone.
What is your name?
My name is Linda Montoya.
Ms. Montoya, what's
I'm
the
not.
phone number you're calling from? I know you're not there, but what's the phone number you're calling from?
Call me on 505-316-4537.
Hold on.
Yeah. Yes. AT Wireless. He's gonna sit over there.
Can you tell me what
It's what?
can you tell me what his girlfriend's
Hold
name
on.
is?
Say that again.
What's his girlfriend's name?
His girlfriend's name is Kara. And the girl that, Kara McCauley. But she's brief retarded.
Okay, what's the other girl's name?
Grace, and I don't know her last name.
Okay, what's your son's name?
Isaac Apodaca.
What's Isaac's date of birth?
His date of birth is December 19th, 1996. He is sitting at AP Wireless because he had to be away from there. He was afraid of his life.
So he left?
So
His life.
he's sitting at AP Wireless on Jaguar Drive.
What does your son look like?
He is 5'11", almost 5'11", 6 foot. He's husky. I don't know what he's wearing. He has short hair and long hair where it goes to the side.
What color
Light
is it?
skin. It's like an amber.
Yeah, I saw he did dye his hair.
So he's crying.
Okay.
He was on my other phone with the phone number I gave you. And I need to call him back to see how he's doing.
Okay, so you hung up with him?
He's still on the phone on my phone, my other phone.
He's on your other phone? Can you give us his number so we can call him and talk to him and see if he gives us information as we can?
Right, because why you the one
What's
calling?
his number?
Hold on. Hold on. It's 505-372-8371.
505-372-8371?
Yes.
You said Isaac, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Isaac. Hold on. Isaac. The clock is going to call you. So you got to hang up, okay? All right. I love you, son. All right. Hello?
I'm here. Did you connect with him?
Yes, I did.
Okay, we're going to call him right now, okay?
Okay, he's like scared. He's crying. He's sick, and I can't have him in my house because I have COPD. He's traumatized and he's worried.
Is he known to use drugs or anything like that?
No drugs. He doesn't drink.
So he just crazy.
And this residence that he was at a minute ago, that's his home?
That's his home.
And he lives there with the girlfriend?
Yes.
Anyone else live with them?
Her mom lives in the main house. They live in the garage. They have animals. They have cats and dogs. Her mom lives in the main house. Her name is Lainey McCauley.
Just confirming the address is 5941 Jaguar Drive, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to keep you on the phone just in case we have any additional questions for you, okay?
Okay.
We called your boy, but he didn't answer, so we'll try him back again.
Hello?
I'm here.
Mom, somebody call me on my phone. I'm going to text him.
Okay, ma'am, I'm gonna go ahead and disconnect with you.
Okay.
We did get on scene already, so we are with somebody down. I don't know if they found your son yet or not.
Okay, because he said he will be at AP Wireless.
Okay, I think they went and looked for him and didn't see him, but I will let them know again so they can try to find him, okay? So if you get
All right.
more information, if you talk to him and, you know, if you get a hold of him, tell him to stay where he's at and then just let us know where he's at so we can go to him, okay? I don't want him to
Okay.
walk up on anything and, you know, obviously
Yeah.
it's a violent thing, okay?
Okay.
All right, thanks, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Flores, just a few more questions for you very briefly.
Okay.
Just to confirm, the phone call that we just listened to from the person that said that she was Linda Montoya, that came in at 1:46 p.m.
Correct.
And then the first phone call that we listened to from the person that identified himself as Isaac Apodaca, that came in at 1:52 p.m. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Yes, Your
counsel.
Honor, thank you. If we may just approach real quick.
Come on up.
Good morning, Mr. Flores.
Good morning.
Do you need any water or anything?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. How long have you been working for the RECC?
Since February of 2012.
And you had stated that you were an actual operator for a while?
Correct.
How long did you do that?
I still do it. I'm just a supervisor as well. But I'm sorry, what was the question one more time?
How long were you an actual operator?
Oh, I'm still an operator, so
And what kind
14
of,
years.
14 years?
Yes.
And what kind of training do you have to do that?
There's a state academy that I went to for 2 weeks, and it's like an in-house training.
Okay. And the in-house trainings with Santa Fe?
That is correct.
And how long is that in-house training?
Typically about 9 months to a year. Mine was about 9 months.
And so you learn, I'm guessing, quite a bit on how to, I guess, interpret phone calls?
Correct.
And do you learn basically that, well, why don't you describe for the jurors what a computer-aided dispatch is?
So it's just a system that we enter information into just to better help us get information from the caller to the officers or the responders.
And what is the difference between the CAD, i.e. the computer-aided dispatch, and what we just heard?
So the CAD is written information, and what we just heard was an audio recording.
And when you get the timings from this audio recording, how do you get them? Do you get them from the CAD or from the audio recording itself?
From the audio recording itself.
Okay. And when you admitted exhibits 1 and 2, you were aware that those times, those were the times that the phone calls came in?
Yes.
Okay. And during your experience as a 911 operator, I'm guessing that you get a lot of different phone calls for one incident, especially a murder?
Correct.
And do you have to then, at that point in time, figure out who was calling about what and assign the same number to any certain phone call?
What do you mean by number? Like the?
Well, when you get a phone call, for instance, in this case, was this case assigned a CAD number as soon as the first phone call came in?
That is correct, yes.
And then after subsequent phone calls came in, did they get the same CAD number?
To my knowledge, so they can be linked together. So if there happened to be two, they could have been linked together. In this particular case, I'm not sure if that was the case or if it was all entered into one.
Okay, but either way, whenever you get a phone call about an incident that happens, they all end up linked together in one way or another.
Correct.
Kind of like putting the pieces of a puzzle together.
Correct.
Okay, in this particular case, the first phone call came in at what, 13:46 hours?
Correct.
And that was from Linda Montoya?
Correct.
Okay, and do you know who Linda Montoya is?
Like personally, no.
Okay, could you tell who it was from the phone call?
No. What do you mean? Other than her giving her name, no.
Okay, and could you tell if she was related to the second phone call? Or the second phone caller?
Yes.
How so?
I was actually the one that tried to call Isaac the second time, so I made the connection that way when he called back. I didn't speak with him when he called back, but I was the person that attempted to call him.
Okay, so when we were listening to Isaac's phone call, it sounded like he was calling back, right?
That's correct.
And so what you're saying is you were the person who initially tried to call him, and that's why he was calling back?
That is correct.
Okay, and why were you trying to call him?
Just to get more information about what it was that happened.
And that information was given to you by whom?
The first call taker that received it, Amanda, when she asked for the number, she had asked that I call him.
Okay, and at that time, did you know that the initial caller was the mother of the person you were calling?
Yes.
Okay. And how long do you think, if you can recall, how long do you think the total amount of time these phone calls took?
I'd say the first one maybe from about 10 minutes and the second maybe 8.
Okay, but they kind of overlapped, right?
Yes.
Okay, and when I say that, Isaac was on the phone with his mom while his mom was on the phone with you guys.
Correct.
Okay. So 10 and 8, so about 18 minutes?
Yes.
You think? Okay. Now, during that 18 minutes, it appears that the officers did find Mr. Apodaca, right?
Correct.
And they found him at the AP Wireless?
Correct.
And they also found what appeared to be a murder scene?
Correct.
And do you recall if they identified a Lonnie McCauley?
Yes.
Do you recall if they identified a Kiara McCauley?
Yes.
And with regard to Ms. Montoya's call, again, a location was found, and that was the location on Jaguar?
I'm sorry, that was regards to who?
With regard to Ms. Montoya's call?
Yes.
And that was the Jaguar address was located?
Correct.
As well as Mr. Apodaca was located through that phone call as well?
Yes.
And Ms. Montoya gave a description of his clothing, right?
Correct.
Okay. And also during the course of that phone call, it was
Actually, no,
possible.
I'm sorry. I don't believe that Miss Montoya had. I think that he had given his own.
So Ms.
He gave I think that she had said that she didn't remember what he was wearing, but she gave a description of his height and his hair.
Okay, so Ms. Montoya gave a height and hair color, like an overall
Yeah,
description.
correct. Yeah, no,
And
it's
then-
fine, but yes,
And then Mr. Apodaca gave a description of what he was wearing.
correct.
Yeah, and that's partially for his safety, right? So it doesn't get, when the police show up, they know who they're looking for.
Correct, yes.
Okay. Okay, and do you have any records of Kiara McCauley contacting the Santa Fe Police Department?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Do you have any records of Kiara McCauley contacting the RECC?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
How about a Lonnie McCauley?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Both Santa Fe and RECC?
Correct.
And do you know who those people are?
I know who Kiara is. I don't know who Lonnie is.
Okay, but,
No, like personally, no.
okay. But you didn't get a phone, there's no record of a phone call from her, from Kiara?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
I'm sorry, Counsel, what time frame are you talking about?
During the course of the phone calls that came in between 1 p.m. on this date and 2 p.m. on this date?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. And with regard to Lonnie McCauley, there's no record of Lonnie McCauley calling in during that time, right?
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. So during this time frame, there's no record of Kiara McCauley calling and accusing Isaac Apodaca of killing anybody,
To my knowledge, no.
or accusing Isaac Apodaca of forcing her to kill anybody.
To my knowledge, no.
Okay. Give me just 1 second, Your Honor.
Yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Is there any redirect of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
Is this witness released?
The state would reserve him for rebuttal.
Okay. Sir, you're going to be reserved. The attorneys will be in touch with you and let you know if you need to come back for your testimony. Don't discuss your testimony with anyone, and don't seek out any information or view anything about the trial until you're notified whether or not you need to come back.
Okay.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and take our morning break. It'll probably be about 10 or 15 minutes. Take your notes with you, and then we'll call you back in as soon as we're ready to get started. We'll work up until the lunch hour, maybe depending on the witness, go a little bit into the lunch hour. I do have a hearing in a separate case that I have to conduct at 1 o'clock. So your lunch break, whenever it starts, probably have you come back about 1:15 or 1:30 after that, after our lunch break. If you please go with the bailiff.
All right.
Lord, let me go ahead and get us back live, but we see what's going on. Basically, Kiara got a deal, and that's why Kiara's acting like this. This is why Kiara's gonna say what she's saying. But Kiara got a deal. Now, I don't think that Kiara's deal or Kiara testifying or now telling the story has anything to do with his text messages now. But I guess the defense will explain to us how that all works. You know? I guess they'll show us how it works. I don't know, child. I'm still trying to figure out why you got us here, Isaac.
Ms. Murphy.
Your Honor, we would renew our request that the victim and the family, as they sit in the gallery and are in the courthouse, not be filmed or photographed. As the next of kin of Grace Jennings, they have a right to a degree of privacy and dignity, as if they can stand in the shoes
Oh,
of
it's
the
recording them.
victim.
Oh, there's somebody in there.
Speaking to Grace's mom, they continue to articulate that they are terrified. They've had private information leaked out in the course of this case through a variety of sources. They've had to move. Additional coverage of their presence frankly is a terrifying thing for them, and a distraction from their ability to sit here and listen to the evidence as members of the public and as victims. I understand the position, and I respect, of course, the position of the New Mexican, and I would be more inclined to concur if they were presenting evidence or speaking to the court, giving a victim impact statement even. But as they sit here as members of the general public, we would ask that they not be broadcast or published during the course of the trial.
It was the New Mexican that brought this up, and you read a statement. I'm not sure I heard most of it, I believe, not all of it, but if you'd like to reread the statement, and then I'll make a ruling. And if there's anything else you'd like to say. And you'll have to speak real loud so we can get your voice on the recording.
Sorry, I will. I was a little nervous the first time. I don't have much else to add, as this is some language I was provided by my editor after we had a similar request in another case. Just one moment, please. Sorry. Before the court makes a ruling, I'd like the opportunity to confer with counsel.
Hold on a second. Can you hear? Yeah, we're gonna need to have you come up to a microphone. Angel's not here to bring the portable one to you. And I'll just have you, if you just project from there and state your name for the record so that we've got a
Peter
record.
Haywood with the Santa Fe, New Mexican. Before the court makes a ruling, I'd like the opportunity to confer with counsel. I understand the New Mexico Supreme Court has specifically authorized the media to photograph and record court proceedings as outlined in Supreme Court Rule 23-0107. I want to ensure my rights under this rule are upheld, as well as my rights under the First Amendment.
Okay. Anything else from counsel?
No, I mean, at this point, it sounds like they're not asking to actually be able to film. They're asking to confer with counsel. I think they should confer with counsel.
If you want to have that conversation, Ms. Haywood,
Beg your pardon?
do you want to have that conversation? The beginning of the statement you read said you'd like to confer with counsel.
Certainly.
So if you'd like to take some time, we'll go off the record and let you all use one of the attorney-client rooms in the back. If there's no agreement, then come back and the court will address the issue.
Oh, I understood it as the New Mexican wanted to consult with counsel for the New Mexican, not as that they wanted to confer.
I
with-
don't know what that means. When you wanted to confer with counsel, I don't know if that's your news outlets, legal counsel, or with counsel that's part of the case.
I see how it could be ambiguous. I was just told to say this if it comes up again. I'll probably have to confer with my editor, but I'm happy to also confer with the state.
Let's take a
Generally,
recess.
we do
Yeah,
this.
I'll let you make a call. Let's take a recess. I'll let you talk to your editor, and then we'll come back on the record before we bring the jury back in.
Yes, this is
During
the
break, we're
the
gonna move
complaint is on behalf of the
over,
next of kin
and then
of
move
the
over,
deceased.
And then we'll take this up before bringing the jury back in.
They basically do not want to be filmed or anything inside of the courtroom, but there is a print outlet. It sounds like they said they were the Santa Fe, New Mexican, who they did state at the beginning they were in the courtroom. They were able to not only have her, I believe, laptop or phone or something like that she had, and then she was also able to take pictures and film inside of the courtroom. Yeah, she repeating what happened the last time somebody made this complaint. So at this point, I understand the family, especially if they've been doxxed or their information has been leaked. But outside of that, now I got more questions. I mean, ain't none of my business. But who y'all scared of? I know it ain't his family. Never mind. Let me grab something to drink.
Record, we reconvene outside the hearing in presence of the jury with counsel and Mr. Apodaca present. We were going to go back and address the issue of the request by the New Mexican to potentially photograph family members during the trial. Anything else from the New Mexican? Were you able to get in touch with your editor?
Yes, Your Honor, we would just stand by the law that our right to protect it. This is a public space. As you said, public seating, this is a public building. Everything in here is protected, and as Your Honor rightly found, I don't see anything in the statute cited by Ms. Murphy that prohibits us. So I would also like to point out that the family has called a vigil and invited us to it to take place later this afternoon. So it doesn't seem appropriate that they should be allowed to say if, when, and where we should take photographs. This is nothing personal against them or anyone else in this case. This is just, we don't want a bad precedent to be set. This is a public building. We're going about our business like we always do.
Ms. Murphy, anything else?
No, Your Honor, the news of the vigil is news to me.
Okay. There is both a First Amendment right that our Supreme Court has given us a rule on that the court does have the authority to limit in appropriate circumstances, but there is no findings or anything before the court to make such a decision. We did talk about earlier the one family member that is potentially a witness. That person would be allowed to be photographed, but there is no prohibition. We just ask the news outlets to act kindly towards the family, but you have a right. This is a public hearing. The defendant is entitled to a public trial, and there is a public interest in anything that happens in an official proceeding. So there is no prohibition.
Thanks for recognizing that, Your Honor.
The court did receive, and counsel, I'll just read them a jury question. I'll just read it into the record. They seem to be a procedural. It says question for the judge. A is, could we get a designation of what the charges require? So those are the instructions that they'll get at the end. The second one is will we be able to revisit evidence at the end? Question mark. Will it be the actual recording or a written transcript? So let's take them in order. Any input, concerns about the first question? Could we get a definition of what the charges require? Ms. Murphy?
I think answering the question for them now of at the end of the case, they get instructions from the court that will contain all of the elements of the crime is fine. That way it's not lingering for them.
On behalf of Mr. Apodaca, any input?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll give them that instruction when they come back in. The second question, will we be able to revisit the evidence at the end? And will there be an actual recording or a written transcript? The technical answer is that there is no formal transcript that's produced at this stage of the trial. That would have to be reviewed potentially on appeal for a transcript for the reviewing court. There is a recording made, and they do have access to that, and we always give them the admonition to be as specific as possible as to what they want to hear, so they don't simply just re-listen to the entire trial. But any other input from the parties with respect to a response from the court on that issue?
I think explaining that anything that is admitted goes back with them, and they'll have full access to that. And that theoretically, yes, that they can access, yes, they can access the recording, but we strongly encourage them to pay attention and try and avoid needing to do that.
From the defense?
Yes, Your Honor. If I'm to understand the question correctly, they're asking if they can review the record of the trial, or are they reviewing?
I'll just read it to you. Will we be able to revisit evidence?
That jury paying attention is what's happening.
That's a question mark. And then the next statement, will it be the actual recording or a written transcript? So that's a clarification of what they meant by evidence. It's not the photographs or physical evidence or whatever else. They're talking about what they're hearing is the way I interpret that message.
That makes sense, and I agree with the state on that.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, well, we're gonna call our jury back on in and continue. We'll go for about an hour or so. Who's the next witness?
So, Your Honor, the next witness will actually be a defense witness. We're agreeing that the defense can call Kiana Aguilar out of order. The rationale behind this was the difficulty in obtaining her previously and that we had to use arrest warrants and whatnot. So by stipulation of the parties, we're going to allow an out of order witness if with the court's permission.
Yeah. Counsel,
Is the
would
court
you,
okay with
would
that?
you like for me to make any statement that we often do it out of sequence because of
Lord.
or something to that effect?
I'm okay with that. I've never done this quite
Oh,
like this,
yeah,
but I'm okay.
Yeah, happens all the time.
Please.
But my understanding is that she appeared on the defense's witness list and not on the state's after the interview, or is she on both?
Yeah, I think she's on both. We had her under a subpoena as
But
well.
my understanding is you're going to conduct direct examination and then you'll do cross. So I'm going to describe it that way, that we're taking her out of order and that defense will conduct the direct examination and the state across.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay,
Thanks, Judge.
let's have him back in.
They had to arrest you, child?
Once.
Whoa.
Internet to connect.
There go the question. Who got these people scared? She had to be arrested. Family don't want to be. I don't know what's going on with the family.
All rise. An empty one on the end. Need you to make your way all the way down, sir. You gotta come back to that. Thank you all. You may be seated in the courtroom. We are back on the record with the jury, counsel, and Mr. Apodaca all present. We've done a little bit of reorganizing in the courtroom to make things work, hopefully a little more efficiently. Had a question over the break, which was really two questions, which were really more procedural questions. So I'm just going to read them to you because I know the author knows what these are, but not everyone in the jury panel. And the first one is, could we get a designation of what the charges require? I think what that's referring to is what we call an elements instruction, which is the actual requirements the state would have to prove as part of its case in chief. You get those instructions at the end of the case. So at this point of the case, we're in the testimony evidence phase. Once that's completed and the parties have had the opportunity to develop all of those things, the court will give you its instructions of the law, read those to you, and then you'll have physical copies of those to take back to the jury room with you while you deliberate. The second question is again kind of a process question. Will we be able to revisit evidence at the end? Question mark. Will it be actual recording or written transcript? There is no official transcript that's being created as the trial goes on. There is an official recording that is being made. And if there is testimony that you want to hear again during your deliberations, you'll have access to that. And I'll tell you this again at the end of the, when you go back to deliberate, if you have that kind of request, we ask you to be very specific about what it is you want to hear. Otherwise, you'll have to re-listen to the entire trial to find it. So we try and find that for you. And that way we call you back into the courtroom, play it, and then you go back and continue your deliberations. So would ask you to pay close attention to the testimony as it's been being presented. And also if you're taking notes, to keep copy on your notes as to the issues you might be interested in if the testimony is not clear to you. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is we'll continue with testimony. Sometimes during a trial, we have to take witnesses out of order for scheduling reasons. There's other reasons as well. So we're going to call the next witness in. Mr. Nair is going to conduct for the defense the direct examination, and then the state will conduct a cross-examination. Counsel, who's the next witness?
That's called Kiana Aguilar.
Ms. Aguilar, if she would come in, please. If you'll come all the way up here where the bailiff is, please, ma'am. Good morning. If you face me and raise your right hand, I'm going to place you under oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, under penalty of perjury? I'm sorry, I need to get your voice on the recording. Thank you. Please have a seat. I know this is kind of an unusual, stressful environment. It is for everyone. What I need to make sure you know is that everything that we do has to be recorded. So I need to get your voice on the recording. Okay. And so if you're speaking too low, I might ask you to speak up. Also, when you're being asked questions by the attorneys, make sure you understand what they're asking you. And if it's not clear, just say something and they can clarify the question. Okay. If you'd begin by introducing yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling your name for us, please.
Kiana Aguilar, Keannaaguilar.
Can the jury hear her? Okay. Go ahead, counsel.
Hey, Judge, you took the first question. For me, where do you currently reside, Ms. Aguilar?
Los Alamos.
Okay. And how long have you known Kiara McCauley?
If like 5-6 years maybe.
5-6 years. Okay. How did you first meet her?
I was working at Subway here in Santa Fe, and her and Isaac walked in and got a sandwich for me, and she gave me her number, and we became friends.
So was Isaac with her at the time?
Yeah.
Okay. And did you primarily spend time alone with Kiara?
No, I was usually with her and Isaac.
Okay. Was Isaac usually present?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Was Isaac usually present?
Sometimes, yeah. For the most part, yes.
Okay.
Jesus, she looked all the ways of the world.
Where would you typically hang out with Kiara?
We would be at her mom's house, and once or twice we were at my parents' house, my mom's house.
Okay. How would you describe the nature of your friendship with Kiara?
Friends, like good friends. I don't know. We would drink together, so I don't know.
Okay.
Good friends, I guess.
Do you have any knowledge of Kiara's involvement in this particular case?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Can you answer what you know about Kiara's involvement in this case?
One night when we were drinking, she told me that she wanted to stab Grace. That's her name, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
and when did she tell you this?
We were at her mom's house and we were drinking a little bit, so I didn't take her too serious because I thought, you know, it was just like drunk talk, you know what I mean? And she showed me what what she wanted to use and told me what she wanted to do, and I kind of just like laughed it off because I didn't think she was serious. And yeah, like
So did you think she was just
Yeah.
joking around or just
yeah,
not?
I thought she was just joking around because like I said, we were drinking, so I thought it was just her trying to vent to me a little bit, I guess, in a sense, and I didn't think she was really going to do it though.
Okay, and did Miss McCully drink a lot with you?
That's
Honor, relevance.
I can withdraw. Okay.
Counsel, go ahead.
Okay. So where did this conversation happen?
we were at her mom's house in her bedroom.
Okay. Was Isaac present when this conversation was happening?
No.
Okay. Did Kiara ever discuss Grace with you?
Other than that one time, no, not really. No.
Okay. And approximately how long before Grace was killed did Kiara make the statements about Grace?
I want to say maybe a year.
Okay. And what specifically did Kiara tell you she wanted to do to Grace?
She just
She
said,
just
she
said
wanted
that.
to stab her with the like a machete looking thing, and that's kind of it.
Okay. Did Kiara explain to you why she wanted to hurt Grace?
Yeah, she said that her and Isaac used to date or something, and she was kind of a little bit jealous, I guess.
Okay. Did she tell you what she was jealous about?
No, just that she was jealous.
What was your did you observe Isaac and Kiara's relationship together?
Yeah,
Okay, and how would you describe their relationship?
toxic.
Okay. Did you believe that Kiara was manipulative?
Objection, Your Honor.
Yes.
Ain't gonna help. This is not helping 47's claim that, you know, Mexico may be the other world.
Is everything you've testified to so far based on what Kiara personally told you?
Yeah.
Is there anything else that Kiara told you about her intentions towards Grace that you have not already discussed?
I'm sorry.
No.
Thank you.
So based on your testimony, you didn't have any, Isaac had no involvement in anything that took place
Objection, Your Honor, calls for speculation.
based on her approach check.
Counsel, you may proceed.
1 second, Judge.
They're gonna forget this witness after a bunch of state witnesses, though, which is the only bad part.
Did Kiana ever show you anything?
Yeah, she showed me a couple different things.
What did she show you?
She made like a metal ball. I don't know. It was weird. And she showed me the knife she wanted to use, or the blade she wanted to use, and I'm pretty sure that's it.
Okay. And did you ever witness Kiara behaving violently?
No.
Okay. And did you have any personal knowledge of any mental health issues that Kiara may have had?
Objection, Your Honor.
Come up.
I mean, well, it'd have to be some kind of crazy, but
Did you have any discussions with Kiara about any mental health issues that she may have?
No.
Okay. One second, Judge.
Yes.
Nothing further at this time, thank you.
Cross-examination.
Briefly, Judge. Good morning, Kiana. So a couple questions. The conversation with Kiara, you stated was a year prior to the murder?
I believe so, yes. Like about a year to 6 months.
Can you get a little closer to the mic?
I'm having a hard time hearing you.
About a year to 6 months.
And when she had that conversation with you, isn't it true that she said that she and Isaac would bring Grace to kill her?
Yes.
So can you again then give us the full context of that conversation of what Kiara told you about what she and Isaac would do?
Okay, so I think we were in her room, or we were either in her room or on her front porch sitting on the swing. I can't remember. I was intoxicated at the time. But she said that her and Isaac were gonna text Grace and have her come over, and like everything was fine and they were friends again, and she was gonna have Isaac text her and tell her to come over and spend the night, and that's when she was gonna kill her.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Redirect, Counsel.
Yes, Judge.
Y'all arrested her for this?
So, it's correct, that did Kiara say that she was gonna have Isaac bring Grace over that night?
Yeah.
Okay. So she didn't say that they had already planned anything. She said she was gonna have Isaac bring Grace over that night, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. One second. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Is this witness released?
We'd like to reserve her.
Okay.
The state will reserve under their subpoena as well, Judge.
So you're being held in what we call reserve. That means you may be recalled to testify later in the trial.
Oh, y'all better not let her go.
Don't
I ain't gonna get her again.
Anyone, and don't seek out any information.
And I ain't gonna lie, I've driven through New Mexico, making a cross-country trip
We'll stay in touch with you.
to Arizona before. And if y'all remember that movie, The Hills Have Eyes, that's what it looked like driving through New Mexico. I refuse to stop. And that's the longest,
Yes, Your Honor.
like,
State calls
leg
for
of the
Alejandro
trip.
Arroyo.
I'm talking about even down to the rusty cars just sitting randomly in the desert, looking like Mater off of Cars. Yeah. Yeah, it looks crazy. Yep, that's him right there with that hook head and his jail betraying him. That's him. He done dyed his hair. He done darkened his hair and dyed his hair black. It looked like.
Sir, I'm going to place you under oath. If you'll face me and raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth under penalty of perjury?
I do, Your Honor.
Please have a seat.
Thank you.
If you'd begin by introducing yourself to the jury by stating your name and spelling it for our record, please.
My name is Officer Alejandro Arroyo. First name Alejandro. Last name Arroyo, Arryo.
Mr. Long.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
What do you do for a living?
I'm a police officer for the city of Santa Fe.
How long have you been a police officer with the city of Santa Fe?
Just about 11 years.
Do you have any prior law enforcement experience before that?
I do not.
Were you on duty on October 29th, 2022?
Yes.
And were you called out to 5941 Jaguar Drive?
Yes.
And is that location in the city and county of Santa Fe?
Yes, it is.
State of New Mexico?
Yes, sir.
When you first arrived at that location, were there any other officers present?
I was the first one on scene, I believe.
Okay. And after you arrived, did any other officers arrive pretty quickly after that?
Yes, they did.
Who?
Officer Francisco Alvarado and Officer Manuel Romero.
All right. Now, without saying why you were out there, did you take up a position sort of before you went to the house?
Yes, due to the call information, I withdrew my police department issued handgun and carefully started, yes, in my head trying to come up with a game plan on how to approach the house.
Okay. And when you approached the house, were you approaching the front of the house?
Initially, yes.
Okay. Did you eventually head towards the back of the house?
Yes.
And did you eventually head into the backyard?
Yes.
And once you headed to the backyard, did you actually tell another officer to kick in a door?
No, it was another officer did.
At some point, did you receive information that a possible crime occurred in a garage?
Yes.
Did you see a garage at that location?
Yes, there was a detached garage on the back side of the house.
Okay. And when you say a detached garage, you mean that it wasn't connected to the house?
Correct.
When you first arrived and sort of were trying to get your bearings with the scene and occupants of the house, was there any confusion as to whether you were at the right location?
We were very confused. It seemed like we were at the wrong place initially.
Okay. And then did you eventually confirm the address with the homeowner?
Correct.
And at any point, did you try to get into the garage?
One of the officers did, and then I asked for keys.
Okay. And did you get keys?
I did.
Once you were provided with keys to that garage, what did you do?
Once I got the keys, I opened the door.
All right. And I want you to think back to opening that door and tell the jury what, if anything, you saw at that point.
I immediately saw what I perceived to be a body,
Okay.
a motionless body, dark-skinned female with acrylic nails. I remember one of her knees had a really significant large gash to her knee. The room was cluttered. It was disgusting, I would say. Cat feces, blood everywhere, and a large sword to the right of the entrance of the garage.
Okay. Now, as a police officer, when you enter a scene like that and you see something like that, Are you supposed to maybe clear the scene to make sure that, if there's check to see if there's anyone else in there, check to see, if that person's alive, or are you supposed to do any of that sort of stuff?
Yes.
Were you able to do that?
No.
Why weren't you able to do that?
Like I said earlier, it was just super cluttered, messy, blood everywhere. I didn't want to really step in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were you able, or did you attempt to provide any life-saving measures?
I did not. I think medics rolled up pretty soon after that.
Okay. And did you see whether the medics attempted to provide any life-saving measures?
Yes.
Okay. Now, officer, do you, are you part of any special unit or group of individuals with Santa Fe Police Department?
I'm assigned to the K-9 unit.
Okay, and so you actually have a K-9 that is kind of your partner?
Yes.
All right. Do you also typically wear like a body worn camera?
Yes, I do.
All right, and where does that body worn camera typically, where do you put that on your uniform?
Usually on my chest area.
Okay, and if you are having interactions with the public, are you supposed to turn that camera on?
Yes.
All right. And on October 29th, 2022, did you have a camera on?
I did.
And do you know if your camera was recording?
It was.
Permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
So, officer, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 3. I want you to take a look at that and tell me if you recognize that.
I do.
And is there a signature and date on that?
Yes, it's my signature and today's date.
Okay. And did you put that signature and date on that after you reviewed the contents of that?
Yes.
And are the contents of that recording of that disc, is that a fair and accurate recording from your body worn camera on that day?
Yes.
At this point, I would move State's Exhibit 3 into evidence.
Any objection to States 3?
No objection.
States 3 is admitted without objection. Mr. Long?
Permission to publish?
Yes. Is there graphic scenes on this?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. I think this was her parents. His mom said he couldn't stay there. She got COPD. She can't be playing like that.
And Judge, I may need some technical assistance briefly, if that's okay.
Come on up.
So,
There you go. Help him out, please.
Thank you, Brian. Now, Officer Arroyo, I would like for you to read for the jury what the numbers up in the right-hand corner are.
22/10/29.
And what does that signify?
The date.
All right, and then the next set of numbers.
13:51:49 seconds.
All right, and what does that signify?
Time.
All right. And is that military time?
Yes.
All right.
through the middle of the damn day. Gonna go chop somebody up.
That officer that's in front of you that looks like is approaching, who is that?
I think it's Officer Alvarado.
At that point, it looks like you were just handed a key. Why is your gun out?
I just don't know what could be behind that door. Gotta be ready.
So officer, it looks as if you've just slightly entered the garage. Is that about as far as that you could go in?
Yes.
Jesus. It look abandoned. Like you got a mask on, 'cause I'm sure it smell crazy.
Now, the individuals that we saw arrive that don't have badges and guns, do you know who those individuals were?
Not by name.
Do you know what agency they were with?
The fire department, City of Santa Fe Fire Department.
And I asked you a little bit about, you went, just sort of just inside the doorway of the garage. Why couldn't you walk any further?
I don't know why I didn't go in, honestly. I think I was just grossed out.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you remember, you said that you saw a body. Do you remember where that body was located?
Right by the door.
Okay. You said that her body was right by the door. Do you remember, was she seated? Was she lying down? Was she on the floor? Was she on a bed?
If I remember correctly, she was kind of like seated on the floor, her knees kind of up. And what really caught my attention is her head was, instead of like just being slouched over, it was like further down to her chest.
Hanging.
Officer, did you eventually conduct a security sweep of the main residence?
Yes.
What is a security sweep?
Just to make sure no one's inside the residence hiding, as we were going to secure the residence for a search warrant.
Okay. Do you remember if anything or anyone else was found inside the residence?
No.
Your Honor, permission to approach the witness?
Yes.
Officer, I'm going to hand you what has been marked as State's Exhibit 4. Do you recognize that?
Yes, I do.
And how do you recognize that?
Has my signature and the date that I wrote on it.
And what is the date?
7/8/26.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of more body worn camera footage from that day?
Yes.
At this point, I would move State's Exhibit 4 into evidence.
Any objection to 4?
No objection, Your Honor.
Permission to publish.
It's admitted without objection.
And I'm
Mr. Long.
gonna go ahead and collect both of those back. Permission to approach.
Yep. So while he's queuing this up, ladies and gentlemen, when you deliberate, you'll be provided a clean laptop with a disc player if you want to watch any of these videos. Before you start playing that, counsel, pause it.
Sorry.
Counsel, would you approach, please?
Before I get this clip positioned correctly, does your body worn camera record audio as well?
Yes, it does.
And has that been the one change from today is that the audio is not there?
Correct.
Yeah, that'll be my last day, Nicole. Like I told you, that old man gave that stool sample and that mess was all over the side of that bag. That was my last day. My last day as a medical assistant ever. I went to that house. Yeah, I'd have been all over. Oh, excuse me. Now, I know they could smell that garage. It had to be. You probably couldn't even be in that main house with your windows open and not smell that garage. The neighbors probably had it. They could probably smell it in their house.
Okay, officer, just very briefly, and we're back at the, with exhibit 4, we're at 0 seconds, and so the video itself is not playing, but we're able to sort of see, oops, now it is. We're able to see some of the individuals on scene. Can you identify some of those individuals for the jury?
Yes.
So the individual that is on the far right-hand side of that screen, who is that individual?
That's now Lieutenant Roberto Rodriguez.
Okay. And the individual that is sort of in the middle, do you know who that is?
Officer Francisco Alvarado.
Okay, and then the person that is seated on the left-hand side of the screen, do you know who that is?
Lanny McCauley.
All right. And we did see an individual in the prior clip, and that is in State's Exhibit number 3. We saw an individual go away in handcuffs. Do you know who that individual was?
Kiara McCauley.
All right. And at any point during that day, October 29th, 2022, did you have any contact with Isaac Apodaca?
No.
As part of your investigation, did you go in and try to talk to neighbors to see if they had seen or heard anything?
Yes.
Right. And did they provide any useful information to you?
No.
Did you eventually make it back to the Santa Fe Police Department station?
I did.
And when you arrived at the police station, did you escort anyone inside?
I did.
Do you remember who you escorted inside?
I don't remember her name.
Do you remember if she had any relation to this case?
I think she was the mother of the victim.
And a few minutes later, did you come into contact with Isaac Apodaca's mother?
Yes.
And was her name Linda Montoya?
I believe so.
Do you remember where that contact was made?
At the front entrance to the police department.
And what, if anything, did you tell her?
I think I just told them I didn't have any information for them at the time, and to wait in their car until detectives came out and reached out to them.
Okay. Your Honor, may I have a moment?
Yes.
At this point, I pass the witness.
Cross-examination.
Yes, sir.
We'll finish up with this witness and then we'll take our lunch break.
All right, officer. So you,
So that's, they're not up, but that's number 3 and that's number 4.
okay, thank you. Officer Royal, good morning.
Good morning.
You responded to the scene at 5941 Jaguar Drive, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And when you approached, do you approach the residence with other officers?
Yes.
Would that have been officers Alvarado and Romero?
Yes.
Okay. And Officer Alvarado stated he observed a female walk into the residence from a detached garage. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Officer Alvarado kicked the door open to gain entry?
He began to, yes.
Okay. And there were 2 females at the door when that occurred, correct?
Yes.
And that would have been Lainey McCulley and Kiara McCulley, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you stated that there was no that Isaac was not there, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um, and then initially, Laney McCauley had appeared not to understand, or both Laney and Kira McCauley appeared to not understand what was happening.
Yeah,
Okay. And dispatch then confirmed the incident occurred in the garage.
correct.
Okay. And Laney stated, well, let me back up. And the garage was locked when you approached it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, you had to kick the door open, correct?
Not to the garage,
Okay. But to the house.
to the house initially.
Okay. And when you opened the garage door, you immediately noticed the deceased female?
Correct.
Okay. And you observed a large sword on the dresser or table inside the garage?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not witness the actual incident, correct?
No.
Okay. And you have no personal knowledge of how Grace Jennings had died?
Just what dispatch had told us.
Okay. And you don't know exactly who was present when she had died?
No.
Okay. And you conducted a security sweep of the main residence with Officer Alvarado, correct?
Yes.
So it's safe to say that you did a pretty comprehensive search of that residence.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, all right. And again, you found no one else in that main residence, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So let's be clear. Isaac Apodaca was not present at 5941 Jaguar Drive on that day, correct?
We know you were.
Not when I was there.
Okay. You had so you who escorted Laney McCauley to the Santa Fe Police Department?
I don't believe I did. No.
Okay.
The victim's mother.
Yeah. Okay, the victim's mother. And the neighbor had stated that she had not seen anything unusual, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And from your understanding or your involvement in this case, Isaac was cooperative, correct?
From my understanding, yeah.
Okay. It was Linda who had called 911?
I don't know who called in.
Okay. And Isaac had waited for police?
I believe he waited down the street, yes.
Okay. And Kiara was not cooperative, correct?
I'm not sure.
Okay. 1 second. Describe how Kiara was when looked when you arrived.
She and her mom both were, I guess, what appeared shocked that we were there, kicking the door in.
Okay. Kiara was wet, correct?
I don't remember.
You
I
don't
didn't really interact with her.
Okay. Based on your observation, it
He
looked
was
like Kiara had recently showered?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. You observed bloody clothing in the residence?
I didn't, no.
Okay, you didn't. Okay. Did you observe whether she had changed her clothes?
I don't know, no.
Okay. Based on your training experience, do you know whether evidence could have possibly been destroyed?
Objection, foundation.
I can rephrase that.
Sustained.
Do you know of any evidence that was possibly destroyed?
I do not.
Okay. 1 second here. You had interactions with Linda Montoya?
Just briefly at the police department.
Okay, and she was cooperative?
Yeah.
Okay. And no one at the scene that you arrived at had called 911, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so neither Kiara McCauley or Laney McCauley had called 911.
Correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
Officer, just to be clear, did you kick in the door or did another officer kick in the door?
Another officer.
And you stated on cross-examination that both Kiara McCauley and Lanny McCauley looked shocked. Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you remember Lanny McCauley's reaction when she was told that there was a body in the garage?
She was surprised.
Nothing further.
Is this witness released?
The state will reserve him for rebuttal.
Reserve, Judge. Thank you.
Okay. So you're being reserved. Don't discuss your testimony with anyone else. Don't seek out any information or discuss the case with anyone else. The attorneys will stay in touch with you and let you know if you need to be recalled for additional testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
You may step down.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take our noon break at this time. It's about 10 after, and as I mentioned to you this morning, I have to conduct a hearing right at 1 o'clock. So if you would return about 1:15 and we'll try and get started as close to 1:30 as we can. Take your notes with you. We'll lock them up in the jury room during the lunch break. Again, don't seek out any information about the case. Don't discuss any of the testimony with anyone. And as you know, we can't start until everyone is back. So if you need to go run and do something during the lunch break, please do it right away and be back at 1:15.
All right.
All right, counsel, we're in recess. If you need anything, take it with you. We're going to lock the doors to the courtroom. I have a video hearing. I think it's video. Video hearing right at 1 o'clock. We'll open the doors and let you back in. And we'll need to bring Mr. Apodaca back up. Make sure he gets lunch downstairs. Okay, we're in recess and off the record.
Thank you, Judge.
He said they're gonna lock it, yeah. Yeah.
All right, guys. So yeah, he's in custody where he belongs. All right, so we will be coming back. What did he say about 1:15? And I believe New Mexico is 1 hour ahead of me, so it's like 12:12 there. So we will be back live in an hour, guys. Please get something to eat. Oh Lord, yeah, they're on Mountain Time. All right, let's Pepsi and popcorn. That's what we need for this.